I love boxing. Here we are again, y'all. What's up? The original 8 weight classes part 2. As promised, we're going to go into a tad bit of the history, talk a little trash, and then we're going to finish it out with a special treat we have for you in part 3. All right, the National Sporting Club, the NSC rules, were formed around 1890. All right, and it came from the London-based private clubs. But those rules were the amended rules that came up out of the Queensberry rules that were established in the 1860s. The Queensberry rules came up out of the modified version of the London prize ring rules. The London prize ring rules came up out of the earlier Pugilist Society rules. The Pugilist Society rules came up out of the earlier John Jack Broughton's rules, or better known as the Jack Broughton's rules, and so on up until the beginning of time. So everything comes from something, y'all. All this stuff comes from something older, more archaic, more simple. All right. Now, in 1909 and in 1910, the ratification and the implementation of the traditional 8 weight classes came about. Now, in the 1880s, the ABA, which stands for the Amateur Boxing Association, had just 4 weight classes. They had the traditional 4. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was feather, welter, middle, and heavy. But from let's say 1700 all the way up until 1930, there was 1 weight class, then 4, and then the traditional 8 that we know during the golden eras. All right. So we're going to go just a tad bit into the Jack Broughton's rules, since that seems to be the oldest on record on books from London, England. All right, now the Jack Broughton rules only had 2 weight classes, heavyweight and then lighter weights. So take that as you want. That's probably could be anybody from 100 pounds to 160. Just heavyweight division and lighter weights division. So everybody that was in the lighter weights, you might be 140 fighting somebody 120. You might be 120 fighting somebody 160. Just lighter weights. And then heavyweight. So just 2 divisions, according to Jack Broughton's rules of governing prize fights. And these rules were put into play, or, were put into practice between 1738 and 1743. And it went all the way up with all the reforms up until the modern day Queensberry rules and the modern day rules that we use today. Now, the Jack Broughton's rules, I read a few of them. They're online. You can read them. They're real simple. Just basically 2 combatants go in there. You draw a line. There's no grabbing below the waist. If someone gets knocked down to a knee, it's not counted as a knockdown unless they laying flat. Just real simple. It was only about 7 to 8 rules. Real raw dog, just archaic, barbaric type fighting. But it did have some rules. Nobody jumping in. Nobody being counted. You can't be counted out unless you just refuse to get up, or unless you just knocked out cold for a long count and everybody just decides that you really are knocked out or dead. But the oldest, I guess the London got older stuff on the books, and peace out to the Brits out there, Earl Jarrett, UK boxing beats and rhymes, long live the Queen, all that good stuff. But referencing the first video, this picture right here, that's MMA's nowadays original 8 classes. Okay, so nowadays MMA, UFC has 8, and boxing has 17, 18, 20, whatever. But, originally MMA started off with no weight classes. If you remember Horace Gracie and Keith Hackney and all that. Then it went to 3, and then, they added on the lighter weights, like with WEC. Now we got the 8 weight classes for UFC, and I don't think they're going to add any. UFC seems to be tried and true with that. All right? Now, the catch weight thing. The catch weights, excuse me. The catch weights are, that shit just amazes me. Pardon me. Why cut half the weight or gain half the weight? The original 8 weight classes were scientifically created and based on averages and other shit. And believe it or not, it was for our own health, for our own well-being. Certain amount of, pounds or kilos, whatever, to the next weight, so you could healthily cut or go up. All that good stuff. The catch weight thing nowadays is used as a strategy to drain, to add or take away money with no negotiations, It just puts shit over people's head. It's a big bargaining chip, and to me, in all honesty, I don't think there's any need for it because you already have 17, 18 weights in boxing right now. What's the need for a catch weight? Matter of fact, the new added weight classes of today are the damn catch weights. You don't need a 144 or 152 or 163. 140 was created. That is the catch weight. 140 was created between 135, which is lightweight, and 147, which is welterweight. So 140 was created as like a recognized catch weight, but now it's, what do they call 140? Super lightweight, junior welter. And we have 154, which is in between middleweight 160 and welterweight 147. That's a nice meeting ground. And it's on the books. You can actually fight a 154, such as Cotto and Bondrage and all them. We don't need a 152. So if you can't make the lower weight or the higher weight, then, I mean, man, it's for your own health. It's for your own health, y'all. And these weights were created 154, 140, and the other little cruiserweights and the weights below that, mini weights. They were created so if you feel like you was in between and you were strong at, let's say, 140, in between 47 and 35, it was created so you can excel there. There's no need for you to make up a 142 unless you're trying to do something tricky, unless you're trying to drain somebody, unless you're trying to bribe, unless you're trying to finagle. Anywho, it just allows for more ducking, y'all, more draining, and to me, it's just strategic career control, which ain't bad, but historically, it's just wanting to question to even do this shit. But to all the boxers and fans out there, you have all the control in the world. You have the control in your training, in your heart, and most importantly, your hands. So just fight the best. We already have an original system that's been tried, tested, and now we even have an original modified system with the 17, 18 weight classes. So to everybody out there, we have more than enough choices and opportunities to be great. If you the man like you say you was, then the fight after the original design weight, like all the greats have done during the golden eras, and hell, even all the way up to I would say the 80s. Granted, it was more the catch weight stuff going on, but cats still was winning titles at those original 8 weight classes. And if they went up to 160. They weren't trying to meet at no 157 or 152. Not the greats, at least. And if they did, I can understand they were trying to negotiate. They felt like they won't make that much money, less risk, high reward. But they still were tried and true at those codified in stone weight classes. All right? And if you do fight at catch weight and win, there's always going to be an asterisk or question of how you won because you fought at catch weight. Why even leave your hard-earned win up to question, up to dispute, up to scrutiny by history and the fans? Why even do that? But that was just a little bit of the history. Y'all stay tuned for part 3. We got a special treat. We got Infinity. We already recorded it. Maybe we'll drop it today. Maybe we'll drop it tomorrow. Hell, but y'all tell me what you think. Original 8 weight classes. Part 1, part 2. Be prepared for part 3. Peace, y'all.